My friends, there is nothing more frustrating than being an audio engineer that has a client that does not prepare for the studio. Especially when the client doesn't even understand what they're doing wrong, it causes tension between them and their engineer. It can go even further when the client doesn't understand the definition of a writing session versus a recording one. Well, by the end of this video, you'll have something you can show to your clients to ensure they're prepared the next time they pull up to the studio. We'll be talking about preparation for a recording studio specifically. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and I have more client stories than I can count. I've had artists come in without having practiced or expecting me to write parts of their songs. But you know what? We did this to ourselves. By trying to make ourselves useful and putting on so many hats, we've created this omnipotent presence in the audio work field. And the main result of this is that our clients assume that we're gonna do everything because we can do everything. But there are some guidelines that we need to set because it's causing extreme confusion amongst everyone. Did they hire a tracking engineer or a producer? They honestly don't even know the difference, and that's a big part of the problem with the preparation they have. Let's get into one of my least favorite ones: unfinished songs. Somewhere along the way, people started assuming that you could just write in the studio when you're supposed to be tracking. I actually don't mind when somebody wants to do this, but you have to talk to someone about it first, you know? Do this ahead of time with your engineer. If you quoted someone a specific rate to track a certain number of songs and they start writing in the middle of the process, it's gonna lead into an unpleasant situation that nobody's gonna like, I promise you. This is unacceptable, and I'm not just talking about like a drum fill here or a solo. I'm talking about an entire bridge of a song not being written, or there not being any lyrics. Wouldn't you want to have perfected that before spending your hard-earned money on a studio that you're now tracking unfamiliar material in? The easiest way to not run into this situation, if you're a band, is just create scratch tracks before you even get into the studio. By creating scratch tracks, you can explain how certain parts are supposed to be, and at this point, you've played it so much that it becomes like the back of your hand. And if you aren't extremely well versed in recording to do this, either book a day for pre-pro or write the entire thing in MIDI. It sounds time consuming, but you'd be amazed how much it comes in handy. This next part goes hand in hand with unfinished songs. Number 2, knowing your parts. Why do they never know their parts? No matter how many years I've recorded, I've run into this issue more often than not. Someone not knowing how to play their parts and are constantly asking other members in the band how to play something. You're already here and had a ton of time to practice before you got here, but you wait till you're sitting down and recording in the chair to ask someone else how you play something. Or even better, they pretended to play it at the band practices they were at so no one notices until the moment comes. A good way for bands to prepare for this is to make sure they see each person in the band play through their entire set one time before even booking the studio time. And there's another thing that comes with this that will kind of sting a bit. If someone in the band can play something better than you, just let them do it and move on with your lives. A band is literally a team, and sometimes a teammate needs to carry the weight when they're the best at it. So just always keep a mental note of who is the best to play certain things, put your ego aside, and just make fantastic music. On to the next thing that can ruin a recording experience. Number 3, squaring away the money. No one likes talking about financials in the middle of a session. But if you do a half up front, half after type situation and you're in a band, it's an insult to go to your engineer after the fact and tell him that he has to wait on his money. He did the job, now he wants to be paid. I don't even work like this anymore, to be honest with you guys. I'm paid half before I even start, and the rest the first day we start. Call me old-fashioned, but I'm not gonna be hunting down people for money or constantly trying to get invoices filled out. I don't got time for all that. The band should have all of these finances accounted for before they even think about booking the session, because it can get really awkward really quickly. And your engineer is really just there to help you. After you do this, it makes the energy really weird in the room. And if they're also mixing the song, they're in a tough headspace to give you 100% when you couldn't even show up with 100% of the money. You feel what I'm saying? This goes both ways. Next up, we're gonna dive into number 4, bringing playable instruments. This one just sounds like it would make sense, right? Like have your guitars and basses that are set up and ready to go with no intonation problems, no buzzes, new strings, new shells for your drums, all that stuff. Now, if the studio is allowing you to use their instruments to record, you may want to ask the owners if you can pay to get those instruments set up and tuned, because unless we're talking like big budget work that doesn't just fall on the recording engineer. Number 5, showing up on time to hit that subscribe button. Transition game still crazy. Make sure you tap that notification bell and the like button if you're enjoying this video so far. This should be the simplest of all these, but it's out of this world how often bands show up late. And I understand things can happen. Traffic, got lost on the way. You know, understandable excuses. But when you're continuously not showing up and arriving at all different times late, don't be surprised when the engineer says, hey, we're supposed to start at 10, but it's 12:30 now. You guys just lost a couple hours off your time. It's a weird phenomenon. Bands always get upset about this. They hate hearing that, but it's just reality. Because if it wasn't for us assuming the band was gonna be there on time, we would have been working on something else, making money then. So, you know, get a good night's sleep before the studio. Show up together if you can, because it will make you look and feel like a legitimate unit. On to number 6, the list. What is the list? It is a document of some sort that states everything this band is going to need from this engineer beforehand. That way, the sessions can be set up to easily give you the things that you want. Do you need backing tracks? Add it. Bounces in different formats? Add it. Stems and or multi-tracks? Add it. A radio edit that takes out sweat? Add it. You have no idea how grateful the engineer will be just knowing all of this ahead of time. Everyone will leave happy and organized, and this is just something you should get in the habit of from day one. It'll help you in your whole audio journey. And number 7, which I saved for last because I feel dumb for even having to say this to musicians in 2022. Please, for my sanity. Number 7. Yeah, you guys know what I'm getting. A click track, man. A metronome. This one is almost embarrassing at this point, but come on, people. Learn how to play to a metronome. At the very least, make sure the drummer can play to a click, because if he can play to one, then everyone else can play to him. Going back to my earlier years, my band had so many ruined songs because our drummer did not take the time to learn how to play to the metronome. Jim, we're talking about you. And our engineer mentioned it, but he didn't make it sound as devastating as it was. Well, let me help you all. It's devastating. If you don't use a click in your production, your song, and all those little effects that you want are going to sound like absolute trash. So get over it. Be a grown-up and play to a metronome. So let's go over all of these one more time. Unfinished songs, knowing your parts, squaring the money away, playable instruments, showing up on time, the list, and playing to a click track. Having these thoughts in your mind are integral when entering the studio. If you didn't know just one of these things, it can lead to confusion, a miserable experience in the studio. But thanks to this video, now you have all the tools you need to fully be prepared when you go record your next track. Do you guys think that I missed anything? Did this bring up any memories you have from past recording experiences that ended up being a nightmare? Make sure to leave it in the comments below and we will chat about it like we always do. I mean, I'm forever in those comments, man. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time. And tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, I am out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers we know, I'd never really drop this thing because that get really expensive. Even if it is putting me on the wrong road. That was a twist none of you guys expected. Shout out to the Rode NT1, real dope microphone. I'll catch you guys later.